Sheldean Human was born on the 2nd of April 1999 to mother Elise and father Vikas. By 2007, her parents would long be divorced and Sheldean was living with her mother Elise Human in Pretoria, in a commune property shared by around 39 other people. Elise had been struggling financially and worked 2 jobs to try and care for Sheldean, who attended a nearby primary school. Little Sheldean was a 7-year-old blonde-haired girl with a ton of personality. Not much is known about Sheldean's earlier years, but at the age of 7, her life was only just beginning. On the 18th of February in 2007, at 6 p.m., Sheldean's mother Elise went to visit a friend. The said friend lived in a flat located at the back of the commune property. Sheldean and her friend were playing in the front garden, where her mother will collect her when she leaves to go home. During the time Elise was with her friend, Sheldean's friend was called in to take a bath, leaving Sheldean in the front yard alone. At 6:45 p.m., just as the sun was starting to set, Elise left her friend's flat and started walking around to the front yard, where she would collect Sheldean. The plan for the rest of the evening would be to get Sheldean ready for the next school day and into bed. However, when Elise reached the front yard, Sheldean wasn't where she was supposed to be. Elise then walks into the house, which they share with 30+ other individuals, and asks them if they have seen her daughter, but no one had. Everyone started looking for her throughout the house. They opened all the doors and looked in all the cupboards, but Sheldean wasn't there. They then moved outside and started to call out for Sheldean. Neighbors came out of their homes trying to figure out what was going on. As soon as they realized that they were looking for the little blonde girl that they saw playing outside earlier, they started to help in the search. They couldn't find Sheldean, but they did tell her mother that they saw her playing with her friend earlier, and that an adult was present. They asked Sheldean's friend about the adult that was present, and she explained that her godfather was with them. She tells them that herself and Sheldean accompanied him to the park, but states that they all returned to Sheldean's house together. She also tells them that this is before she was playing with Sheldean in the front yard at 6 p.m. that evening. Elise was extremely panicked at this point. She didn't own a car, so she practically ran to the nearest police station, where she tried to open a missing persons case. Police, however, told Elise that they couldn't open a case as she had no photograph of Sheldean. Elise was forced to walk back to the commune in order to find a photo of her missing daughter. Once at the commune, a friend who had a car volunteered to drive Elise to the friend's godfather's house, a one Andrew Jordan. When they arrived at his house, Elise questioned him about the time he spent with the 2 girls, but he would end up not giving them any new information. He told the exact same thing as Sheldean's friend did. He took them to the park, but he brought both of them back before 6 p.m. After leaving Andrew Jordan's house, they went straight back to the police station. Elise had a photograph of Sheldean, and at approximately 8 p.m., they finally opened the missing persons case. They didn't, however, stop searching for Sheldean. They looked for her right through the night. They stopped every person they saw, but it was all in vain. Nobody had seen the little blonde girl. The next day, Elise notified the school that Sheldean was missing. They assisted her by printing flyers of Sheldean to distribute. A group of volunteers also came together to help with the search. This group consisted of mostly mothers from the area and its surroundings, and together they would later be known as the Pink Ladies. They searched high and low for Sheldean. They went door to door, open fields and parks, to supermarkets and malls, with absolutely no sign of Sheldean Human. Lieutenant Colonel Andrei Nietling added the case. They had very little to go on, no leads and no sightings, so they decided to start at the beginning. They bring Andrew Jordan in as a witness. Nietling said after his first interview of Jordan, his suspicions were raised immediately. He described Andrew as extremely arrogant and stated that his instincts told him that Andrew's behavior was a red flag. They didn't have anything to detain Andrew on, so they were forced to release him. However, they now had their first person of interest in the Sheldean Human case. Another week passes without any progress in the investigation. Elise is completely shattered and desperate to get her little girl back to safety. She even states that she knows Sheldean was probably raped, but she prays that she's still alive. Police are getting rather desperate as well, as they have absolutely no new leads and nothing to go on, except the gut feeling that somehow Andrew Jordan is involved. They decide to bring him in and take him for a polygraph test. After the test is concluded, the polygraph technician comes out and tells the investigators that Andrew was being truthful in all the answers. Even though Andrew passed his polygraph, police were still suspicious of him and decided to search his home. Inside Jordan's home, they would find another major red flag. Besides all the adult magazines lying around the house, Jordan also had a very specific wall decor. The walls were covered in pictures of young girls, as well as pictures of his own younger sister who passed away. Pictures of his older sister also graced the wall, but these were manipulated to make her look younger. They found more pictures on the walls. This discovery was rather unsettling. Andrew Jordan had picture upon picture of Brigadier Piet Bijleveld covering his walls. Piet Bijleveld was a super sleuth, often brought in to solve these types of cases. He just had a certain way to get the guilty party behind bars, and in police circles he was known as Piet Bijl, or often just Die Bijl, which directly translates to the axe. Bijleveld was in the police service for over 40 years and had a 99% success rate. In their next interview with Jordan, Pretoria police decided to bring in the axe himself. Bijleveld's questioning of Jordan lasted 36 minutes. In those 36 minutes, Bijleveld determined that Andrew Jordan knew that Sheldean was wearing pink panties. However, Jordan would explain this by saying that he noticed this while Sheldean was on the swing at the park. Bijleveld didn't fall for his explanation and kept pressing Andrew until he confessed. Not only did he confess, but he even offered to take Bijleveld to where he disposed of Sheldean's body. Jordan takes the police to an overgrown plot behind the fresh produce market in Pretoria West. He pointed at a manhole and told police he dropped her down the manhole into a stormwater drain beneath it. Andrew Jordan threw 7-year-old Sheldean Human down a manhole and left. Police brought in the canine unit to search for her, and eventually they found the little girl. She had washed 40 meters into the system. Sheldean's little body was in an extreme state of decomposition due to the subjection of water and the warm summer sun. Her official cause of death could not be determined. During the trial the following year, hundreds of people showed up at court wearing pink to pay tribute to Sheldean Human, the 7-year-old little blonde girl from Pretoria who was murdered by Andrew Jordan. In trial proceedings, Jordan retracted his confession and instead stated that he had been coerced and bullied by Bijleveld and the Pretoria police to make those confessions. Piet Bijleveld in turn testified to Jordan's original confession. Jordan said that he had sexually assaulted Sheldean, but she fought back and ended up scratching Jordan. This infuriated him, so he strangled her and threw her down the manhole. The final nail in Jordan's coffin was the testimony of his goddaughter, the little girl who played with Sheldean on the afternoon she went missing. She tells the court via video conference that Jordan had raped her too. On the 9th of June in 2008, Andrew Jordan was found guilty on the charges of abduction, sexual assault, and murder. He was sentenced to life in prison and he received an additional 33 years for other charges, including the rape of his goddaughter. On the 13th of February in 2012, Andrew Jordan was killed in Leeuwkop prison by a fellow inmate who bashed his head into the concrete until he succumbed. Sheldean Human was an innocent little girl who had a hard upbringing and was thus vulnerable to predators. Sheldean Human was 7 years old, and she did not deserve this. Until next time.